Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. Before we introduce our guest for tonight, I just wanted to say the Burgundy Zone is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more at www.listenfrederick.com. We are joined by himself, Mr. Jalen Morgan, or should I say Brian Johnson. At halftime for last week of the Eagles, it was Fan Appreciation Day at the stadium for the Washington game, and they brought out a bunch of fans to kick field goals, and if you kicked the field goal, I think you got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Or if you got it, you had you could have a suite with 20 people that you picked to be there, right, Jalen?
Yeah. So the 20 suite was actually the ultimate compensation. I think the other prizes were like $200 gift card to MGM National Harbor, $200 gift card to DC Prime. So there were some pretty extravagant gifts in there.
Dude, that's awesome to hear because I was cheering for you, dude. Oh, let's go, Jalen!
And appreciate that, man.
You were the last one to go, and I saw that kick just go right over the bar. And dude, you gave everyone something to cheer about, Jalen.
Appreciate that, man.
Hey guys, but the first thing that we have to talk about, let's do the current events and what has happened up until this week, because it's been a big week for the Washington fan base and the Washington organization altogether. One being that on Tuesday, the Washington football team came out with a rebrand video announcing that on February 2nd of next month, they are going to be announcing the new name on the Today Show. So I wanted to ask you guys, I'm going to go to you first, Jalen. Did you have an issue with the team announcing it on the Today Show rather than doing it locally?
I don't necessarily have an issue with them doing it on the Today Show. I do think as far as marketing, it could have been done a tad bit better. Maybe it being broadcasted on the Today Show, but doing it remote for maybe like one of the monuments or something like that. Just to show the fans that you still care about them. I've heard, and it's not an original thought at all, but I've heard like this may be a direct correlation to why, there aren't many Washington football team fans entering the stadium because they don't feel like they're catered to in recent years and things like that. So this is just something along the lines of that. So while I don't have too big of an issue because, the Today Show, that's the biggest broadcast for daytime television. So that I think that's the perfect platform to push out the rebrand. But I do think it could have been done remotely or maybe bring like Craig Melvin back to DC or something like that.
Yeah, announcing it with Craig Melvin, who is a known Washington fan, grew up obviously in the area. He's married to Lindsay Zarniak, who worked for 106.7, has obviously moved up. She's very, very successful in what she does. Everyone loves Lindsay. But the one aspect, I thought it was very selfish in a way for the local media, especially the local media, to say it. Because you know that when Washington comes out with this rebrand, the local media is going to eat it up. You already have them in your palms. They are going to be talking about it all day long, all week, all month long. What you need is the national media, and that's why you go to them. But I do understand your point about doing it at a monument remotely and then obviously still broadcasting it on the Today Show just to keep it locally. But I don't really have a big fault with them because it makes the most sense for the Washington football team organization. You want the biggest pop. You want it to bang, and you're already going to have it locally. Nationally is where the issue is. What about you, Hall? What did you think about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same line as y'all, where I don't really have a problem with it going to the the big national stage like that because, again, everyone in the area kind of knows what the team is and they just want them to win at the end of the day. And I think that winning will bring people back to the stadium and it will change the perception of the organization. But you want that national big stage, like the rest of the world to know, like, hey, this is the new name, this is the new team, this is the new faces of the team, this is the new jerseys, all that good stuff. So, like you guys said, what I would have done was probably had them come down to DC and done a remote show there and even if you don't even have fans there, at least you're doing it in DC. You're kind of showing the fans like, hey, we do kind of care about you. We're doing it locally. If you want to come out and stand, I don't know, 1,000 feet away and cheer from there, cool. But yeah, that's the only thing where it's like, I would have had someone come down from the Today Show and do a remote show down here and do it kind of that way to be kind of have that hometown feel to it. But like I said, at the end of the day, I do get why they're doing that because you want the rest of the nation outside of DC, outside of Maryland, Virginia, to know hey, we're the Washington X's and this is our new brand, this is our new thing. We have a new culture. Here we are.
Yeah, and then the next thing that happened was on that Tuesday video, the Making Rebrand video. I think it was about 8 minutes long, 8.5 minutes long that they released. Jason Wright in the video says they're no longer that Red Wolves is not being considered. It is completely out. I'm not going to lie to you. The job site was kind of quiet. I was yelling. I was like, "Ah!" And they were like, "What's going on?" I was like, It's okay. I'm sorry. Just got a little hyped up for a second. But I was happy to hear that because obviously I've been a big advocate for just not howling. The names Red Wolves and Wolves, I didn't think there was an issue with because there are some elements of it that you can use in a team format. But what was your thought process with that, Jalen? Were you a Red Wolves guy? Were you kind of let down by it? How was your reaction?
I don't know if I'm unique in this aspect, but I was a huge advocate for Wolves, not so much for Red Wolves. I think it's with me being like an elementary school teacher, just that alliteration and things like that, that WW for Washington Wolves. But I just think that there could have been some branding done behind, the whole Wolf sentiment, kind of like how Chicago does it with the Cubs and things like that, where it's just some unified branding, just with, marketing, advertising and things like that. So while I was a big advocate for Wolves, I wasn't necessarily a huge advocate for Red Wolves. Didn't mind seeing that put out the picture, but I was kind of hurt when he said Wolves too. It's like, yeah, Wolves too. I was like, you got me.
Yeah, and I know. I just wanted to say I know Rio was a big advocate for that as well, and I'm not sure what's going on with Rio. I've tried to reach out to him. Obviously his account on Twitter is deactivated at the moment, but prayers are with you, Rio. I hope everything is okay. I reached out to you on Instagram. Hopefully we can link up and talk a little bit. I hope he's all right. But the other aspect was that the Twitter sphere around the Washington football team has gone full investigation mode. I mean, they have looked into every single second of that video. I mean, we have people looking at the reflection on the glass, the W concept helmet that was shown to Ron Rivera, and people are running with it. I know there's one guy on Twitter saying that his boy who has a PhD is telling him that it's the Washington Admirals. But I wanted to get your opinion. What did you think of the uniforms? Because it was a darker kind of burgundy. It was the darker helmet, not the shiny helmet. What did you think of that?
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh shit, my bad. Yeah. I mean, I like the burgundy feel to it. Like, looks like they're gonna kind of go like the Minnesota. I think they're Gophers, the college team route where they got like the dark burgundy shirt, the pants, got the gold trim, the gold stripe with it. I know everyone's making a big deal about the stars on the back, like, oh, you trying to copy Dallas again? But I'm not even worried about that. That's kind of like stupid to me. If you're going to be the Commanders, obviously, or you're like military theme, then obviously stars kind of goes with it. Plus, I think you got the 3 stars for the DC flag, so that also kind of vibes in there with it too. But look, we've both been clamoring for this for years, Kyle. We just want some black uniforms, some like all black, some alternate jumps. So if they come with some fire alternates, like some black helmets, some black jerseys, I'm all in. But I'm already all in, so it's all good.
Yeah, and I've been a big advocate for camo as well. I thought that was an aspect of it that I would love to use as a specialty uniform, especially during the Salute to Service month. I think that'd be really, really cool to do. Obviously, we've seen that with the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, with the pink and everything like that. I would absolutely love that kind of aspect with the uniform. What did you think, Jalen?
From what I can tell about it, I do kind of like, I think it was like a black line outlining the numbers. I did kind of like that. It gave it more of a sleeker look. And I think if you're going to go with a name like Commanders, like your whole upkeep, your whole appearance has to be sleek, if that happens to be the name. Right. And like Mike said, I know a lot of people were making a big deal about the 3 stars. But from my understanding, that's going to be in the inside collar where it's not necessarily visible. And I think it just gives the sleekness of the uniform another unique touch. So from what I could tell from the uniforms and hearing some of we may get a black alternate or a gray alternate or something like that, I'm pretty positive. It's pretty positive news on this end.
Yeah, like I know people will have their opinions on the name Commanders. I know not everyone will agree, but the one aspect that I'm thinking of, look, I don't think the name really has that much into it. It's just a name. At the end of the day, it's going to get adopted at some point. Obviously, we've been saying Washington football team for the past year and a half, so I think we've gotten used to it. I think we can get used to a military-themed name as well, but the uniforms is where it really is going to sell people. And if you have a great concept like they were kind of showing, they were trying to blur everything out, but it looks like that the Twitter sphere really took over. But the next big news that had happened was Charles Leno got extended last night. A 3-year deal, $37.5 million, and his average salary is $12.5 million. I think he's guaranteed in his contract $18 million over the duration. But I absolutely love this move. I think it kind of surprised people because everyone was kind of thinking Terry was the guy. What did you think, Jalen? I mean, this is a slam dunk for Washington, right?
Yeah, I love the move. And one of the reasons I love the move, for the most part, is that Charles Leno is extremely durable, even if you look at his time in Chicago. So I know a lot of people are hesitant for paying the guy. I think he's just maybe 30 or 31, so just on the wrong side of 30. But if you look at his track record, this isn't a guy that missed games. And while he may not, display elite play often, he's somebody that's serviceable. And that position, if you're capable of locking it up long term, that's the best, because that's one of the foundational pieces to a roster, the left tackle position. So I think that he played pretty well. I think he did have a bit of a drop off within his losing streak, but if he's able to keep up his play within the first 13 weeks of the season, I think that this is an amazing signing, especially at $12 million a year. That make him like half of the league average. So yeah, I'm a huge advocate for this signing for sure.
Without a doubt, and he's been rated the 7th best left tackle in the NFL so far this season. So that is huge for Washington, getting that staple at left tackle. And I think it has to do a lot with kind of making sure there's a sustainable foundation in order to bring some free agents here to DC. I love this for Charles Leno on a human level, because you have to imagine not being re-signed with Chicago. As a man working, you want to be appreciated, you want to be loved and embraced, and them not re-signing him, I'm sure at some point as a dude, it affects you, right? And so you go to Washington, you don't know if your family is going to be here long term. You fight your butt off all season long, and by the end of the season, right before the last game, you get extended and saying, we want you. I think that's huge for Charles Leno. And then the one quote he said from his press conference today with the media, talking about how, yes, he's durable, he hasn't missed a game since 2015, I believe, and he said, I fought through injuries because it's about my guys next to me that I'm fighting through. I want to battle with them, and I think that says a lot. And I love that from Charles Leno, and I know a lot of people out there will agree that they love that too. What did you think, Hall? I mean, there is no other route that they could have gone, right? Because there only is a short amount of draft picks, right? Were you kind of put off by the fact that this was before Terry or anything else?
No. I mean, because at the end of the day, if you look at it, obviously you don't want Terry to get that last year in him and then get to free agency, but I still think they're going to offer Terry a contract. I mean, obviously you got to offer Terry a contract. You should probably give him a blank check and just say whatever you want, there it is. But as far as Charles Leno goes, I definitely love the signing from this aspect of he's a great locker room guy. He seems like he's a leader in the locker room. A lot of the guys seem to gravitate to him and stuff like that. Obviously, he's a big in the community, him and his wife. So that definitely helps as well. And if you think about the offensive line, it's all about continuity.
Yep.
So if you got Chase Roullier coming back off the injury next year, hopefully he'll be good to go. You got Eric Flowers on the left side. Now you got Charles Leno on the left side. You're going to have Sam Cosmi, obviously, if he can stay healthy there. And then you got a guy like Wes Schweitzer who can maybe step in at right guard. And you got pretty much the same continuity that you had at some point this year on your offensive line, which bodes well for a team that obviously sitting around the offseason is going to be the quarterback position. So when you got a bolted staple offensive line in front of you as a quarterback coming in to looking at this team, you could be like, okay, maybe I can do some things with this. And if you're a rookie, that just gives you the more confidence to like, maybe I can go out there and be myself on the field and play thought free with the offensive line in front of me protecting me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in that aspect. But to wrap this up, Jalen, I wanted to ask you, I know not everyone is talking about it because of the rebrand video, because of everything going on and not being in the playoffs anymore after losing to Philly. But this is a game of going against the New York Giants, and Joe Judge had some comments to make about the Washington football team, referring to them as he wasn't directly saying it, but we all knew what he was talking about when he said that our players aren't fighting on the sidelines. They're not fighting each other on the sidelines. And
clown show organization. I think that's what he called it.
Right. So I wanted to get your opinion. What do you think Washington's going to do this weekend against the Giants? What's your score prediction, and then who would be your MVP?
So I've talked about this on my podcast. So while I'm not an advocate for taking, and I'm not a huge proponent for taking, We just got to look at this is a similar scenario than where we were in 2 years ago playing against the same team. You know, if we lose that game, we don't end up with Chase Young. And I know a lot of people are down on Chase Young, but he still has the potential of being an impact player. So I don't think there's any Chase Youngs. And while we're not sitting at the top of the board, I think at this point, I think we're going to win because the Giants are too bad to lose to. Like, we couldn't even lose to the Giants if we wanted to. Like, they're really bad. If you guys have looked at it, I looked at some of the numbers. They haven't scored they scored one touchdown in 35 drives since Daniel Jones has been hurt. And I just think that, you know, this past week we did show some fight while we lost, and we showed more fight than we showed in the Dallas game. I just think that it comes down to quarterback play, and, you know, the Giants are starting Jake Fromm, who's horrible. Yeah. And we're starting Taylor Heinicke, who may not be the best, but he's better than Jake Fromm. So at this point, while I wouldn't mind losing, because I think we can get to as high as 7th if everything shakes out. And if we win, we can get to as low as 13th. I just don't see a scenario in which we can lose. I just don't.
And to your point about their offense being very bad up until this point, their leading touchdown receiver is Evan Ingram at the moment. And so that kind of tells you how inept they have been as passers. Jalen, I wanted to thank you for coming on here, brother. I know it's been very busy. I kind of messed up yesterday. I asked Jalen to come on to the show, and I was telling him, like, yeah, 6:30. And then he hit me up at 5:45 while I was out at Applebee's. And it was like, hey, man, when are we starting? I was like, oh, I didn't tell you it was tomorrow. I'm sorry, dude. But that's my bad, Jalen. I appreciate you for being a good sport and being able to get some time out here for us, dude. You're the best.
No, you're good, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Anytime that you need me back on the show, I would love to join. I appreciate the time. Had a lot of fun.
And if you before you go, just guys, if you want to go and follow Jalen's podcast, it's the Bleeding Burgundy and Gold Report. You can find it at Spotify, YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube, all podcast platforms. You can follow us on social media at Bleeding BNG, BLEEDING BNG. And yeah, we post daily, weekly podcast episodes, so be sure to check us out.
And a future kicker as well, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations, man. That was really cool the team did that for you, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it was. I really appreciated the opportunity.
All right, Jalen. You have a good night, brother. Stay safe.
All right. You too, man. Have a good weekend,
bro.
Hey,
all right, Mike.
Of course. All right. That was great to be able to talk with Jalen. But now we are joined by, I think, one of my favorite people on Twitter. I like to call him Wizzy F Baby. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, dude. And I wanted to ask you, because I'm trying to break this up a little bit and being able to talk about different aspects of the football game. But I noticed last night you were kind of watching film on Kenny Pickett, and you're breaking him down and talking to people about him. And because he is a possible quarterback that Washington could be looking at. Ron Rivera in his presser, I think not in his presser, but he talked to the media, I think it was Kevin Sheehan, and said quarterback is the most important aspect of this offseason for them. So what have you seen from Kenny Pickett?
Well, yeah, I was just kind of looking at him, and honestly, I was impressed. A lot of people were questioning his leap in productivity in his 5th year, but when I watched the film, it just seems like he's really been putting that work in. He knows his offense, and he knows the defense he's playing. He doesn't have a ton of guys around him that are projected first-round picks or even projected to go to the NFL. He's the main reason that team is doing good and doing as well as they were doing. The team kind of rallied around him. His coaches talk well about him, and he seems confident. So I was just kind of looking at him, and I was finding a hard time truly seeing anything wrong with him. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to gauge what people were thinking, and all I really heard was he had small hands and he wasn't productive to his 5th year. So I don't know how much I can put into those things.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm really excited to look at his film. I didn't know that he wore a glove for all of his drives. That's how much film I don't watch. I wait until after the offseason to really start looking at these guys. And so just out of respect for the team, I don't want to do that. I hate kind of washing away their season and overlooking what they do. So I wait for that. But I wanted to ask you guys this, a question from the Colonel himself. And I'll start this with you, Wizkins. He says, Charles Leno, a 7th-round draft pick, just signed an extension to shore up our left tackle position for the foreseeable future. Was Trent Williams really such an awesome specimen that we dealt with all this drama, including a year-long holdout, only to receive a 3rd and 5th-round picks as compensation? He said those 2 picks are Keith Ishmael and Ben St. Juste. Please comment on how Washington football team fared overall in that circumstance.
I think when you look at it now, you have to say we fared pretty well. I mean, Ishmael end up having to play some valuable time. And the games he played, we had a potent running attack during that time. And, St. Juice was promising, even though this year, didn't really go as well as we wanted. And we didn't see as much as him. He does have some promise. And with Charles Leno, we were able to find a steal. But I do think that we got lucky with that. Left tackle is a key position. Mm-hmm. Trent Williams is a specimen, and he's one of the best left tackles in NFL history. So that's not to be overlooked at all. But considering all that, I think we filled out pretty well.
Yeah, I think Bruce Allen really took a grenade to that entire situation. It sucks that they had to boot out Trent, but I am happy to have Charles Leno here. Also, I think he got announced that he's also having another baby as well. So congratulations, Charles Leno. He is having a fantastic couple weeks, by the way. What do you think? What do you think, Hall? How did you think that whole circumstance played out for Washington?
Yeah, I mean, like you guys kind of mentioned, obviously a guy like Trent Williams, who was kind of that cornerstone, not only on the offense, but the cornerstone of that franchise for a long time. A Hall of Fame player down the line when he was decided to retire. Obviously, you want a guy like that on your team, on the field with you, in the locker room with you. But at the end of the day, like you said, it was kind of like a Bruce Allen type of grenade to this situation type thing. If the reports were true, we could have got 2 first-round picks for him at the time when it was like really, really high on the market. But again, our whole Bruce Allen thing. So at the end of the day, like Wizkins kind of said, Keith Ishmael stepped in. I'm not going to say he was like, obviously he wasn't Chase Rouillet, he wasn't Tyler Larson, but as a guy that was a rookie, had to step in on the short notice. I feel like he did a pretty decent job. And a guy like St. Juice has a lot of promise. He's a long arm guy, a long physical guy, which definitely bodes well for an NFL that's like geared toward more of a passing league right now. So time will only tell how it fared out. But if I had to like I said, obviously you want a guy like Trent Williams on your team, but I'm happy how they made out with the picks that they used on the 3rd and 5th round.
Yeah, if Ryan Pace still has a job after this season, I don't know what Chicago is doing, letting Leno walk like that. I mean, obviously we did get very lucky, but that's how the NFL plays out, right? But our next question, Wizzy, I'm gonna go to you with this. What are your thoughts? This is from Paul Murphy in Scotland, by the way. Oi! And he wants to know, what are your thoughts on the uniform clips so far? And do you think that the idea that a new brand can offer the franchise a reset and it could attract new fans and new players who fancy a new challenge and project?
Well, first, my idea on the actual uniform clips is I like it, and I don't want to judge harshly without seeing the whole thing. And I really want to let them present their full finished brand idea before I judge anything too harshly. And also, I'm a little bit biased. I'm a hardcore Washington fan, and at this point in time, I don't care to be upset about whatever they put out. I do believe that a different brand could change how the team is viewed. It can inject complete new life. Momentum is real, and if we can get a new brand and come out and perform well, I think we'll be looked at completely different. They can really build this stadium up, new uniforms. We can really turn a new page. So I think it couldn't happen at a better time, honestly, with everything that's been going on with the organization. A rebrand is the perfect thing that we need. So I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And that's one aspect, Paul, that I've been adamant about from the start. Because obviously the loyalty and the fan base has eroded over the past years, and they're no fault to the fan base, you could say, or to Dan Snyder, or it is because of Dan Snyder. I don't mean to say that, but basically you need a foundation, right? And what you can do is by making a military name, those people are automatically going to adopt that new name as an extension of their family members who are served or have served before. And so automatically you kind of build that foundation there, because what the Army-Navy game is one of the biggest games for America. And it's not like those are popular teams. It's just the fact that everyone has somebody that usually a lot of people have relatives in that aspect. And so by using a military theme name, you're almost adopting a whole nother fan base, Paul. So I think you're absolutely right about that. And this is what this rebrand is doing. And it's giving people a chance to see that, hey, we are making a change here. We are completely washing over. Either be on board or not. I like to call the rebrand Noah's Ark. Either get on the ship or be left behind, dude, because it's coming. You know what I mean? What do you think, Hall?
So what I took from what you just said is you're a Dan Snyder defender, and you're just you like Dan Snyder.
Stop, man.
No, yeah, I definitely think that it could bring in some new fans. Like people nowadays, obviously, like the younger generation, they're more about like, oh, if you have like great jerseys, great uniforms, cool jerseys, that's gonna attract some more like the newer fans. If you end up drafting a quarterback, and that's gonna attract obviously some more fans because they're like, oh, we have a franchise quarterback. Even though obviously if you draft a guy, it doesn't mean he's gonna pan out. But so you're gonna bring in more fans that way. You're gonna bring his fan base from whatever college he's come from.
Hmm.
Um, again, fancy football is a huge thing nowadays. So again, it goes back to like some of the players you bring in with the new face, new franchise, new brand. You're going to gain some new fans that way because they're going to follow their favorite players. And I just think that this kind of just popped in my head. Actually, it's kind of crazy that we've been wanting a quarterback this whole time. Ron Rivera's been here. He's like going into year three.
Yeah.
What better way to come into year three, a new brand, new everything pretty much with a new quarterback to trot out to the public and say, hey guys, look, this is our face of the franchise or one of our faces. This is our whole new thing. We're a new era, new team, new era, new everything. So here we are. And I just think that hopefully they can nail it. And I definitely think that judging by the uniform so far, I definitely think they have.
Yeah, I would agree. That's what Ron Rivera did say to Kevin Sheehan. Now, but to wrap this up, Wizkins, this is going to be a long question for us. But I have a question. This is from Paul Murphy again. He wants to have their end of season awards. Who is your team MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Offensive Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year? He also has Most Improved and Comeback Player of the Year.
You're talking about the whole NFL?
No, just for the team. I mean, we can deal with the whole NFL if it makes it easier for you.
No. I was just wanted to decipher which one he was talking about.
That's fine.
He said MVP, offensive rookie, defensive rookie.
Offensive Player of the Year,
All right, let me
Defensive
write
Player of
that
the
down.
Year. It's a lot. I know. He even said it's a lot of categories, but I told him, look, we got time.
I seen the question when he sent it to you.
Yeah.
Um,
It wasn't even working.
How about just
So
do
I'll
one? How about
start-
do one? Do the MVP.
for MVP of the season, I'm gonna have to give it to. I'm gonna say Taylor Heineke. Honestly,
Ooh.
I'm gonna say Taylor Heineke
Surprise.
for the ups and downs that we've been through to this season. Heineke's been the reason we've won sometimes, and most of the times we've lost, he wasn't the sole reason we lost. So for what he's been consistently him. It may not have been great. It may not have been overwhelmingly productive, but I would have to say he's been one of the most consistent guys on the team. Besides, okay, let me take it back. I do want to take John. No, you know what? I'm gonna keep it. I was going to give it to John Allen, but after the whole fight thing, I had to take it away. So Taylor Heineke, he's kept his nose clean. He's been consistent. He's been in the face, and it hasn't been easy. It's not easy to play quarterback, especially for Washington. We will scrutinize you. You will hear about it. The fans, the media, the coach is going to get asked about it. They're going to talk about you, and he's stepped up to the plate and he's answered the questions. And he's been a good sport about it. So I'm going to say Taylor.
That's a great one. I'll say John Allen for MVP. But so Hall, I'll let you do the Offensive Player of the Year. But for Defensive Player of the Year, I'll say Cole Holcomb. 131 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and one pick six. Obviously, I think he has been incredible this season, especially given that kind of middle of the field, losing John Bostic, we were kind of hampered a little bit there. We needed some relief. Yeah. And Cole Holcomb was so consistent all year long. Obviously, the one game where he was out, they gave up 56 points. So maybe there is some correlation there, to be perfectly honest with you. And so for me, it is Cole Holcomb. But Hall, who is your Offensive Player of the Year?
Well, obviously, it's easy to go Terry because hopefully after this Week 18 game, he's going to break 1,000 yards, which will be the first time we had a Washington receiver go back-to-back 1,000-yard season since, I want to say, like 93, 94, 92, somewhere around the area, which, anyway, it's a long time.
Yeah.
So you definitely go Terry, obviously. I mean, he is pretty much the whole offense. But I'm going to go with a guy that just got rewarded for having a great season, is going to be here for the next 2, maybe 3 years. I'm going to go with Charles Leno. The dude didn't miss a game all season. He was rated pretty high on PFF, and he's pretty much just been the anchor on the line, the most consistent guy on that offensive line all season. So I'll go with Charles Leno.
And shout out
100%.
to DeAndre Carter as well. He has been
Yeah,
fantastic
definitely.
this
Yeah.
Honorable
season. Has
mention
been
for Carter
a
as
huge
well.
help. Yeah, obviously. Now, before
And I
we-
will say about Cole Holcomb, he helped me win fantasy football championship this year. So
Hey, that's always a plus. That's always
yeah,
a plus.
it's always a plus. He was very consistent.
Always a plus. Now, before we get you out of here, Wizzy, the last thing I have to ask you, there's a football game this weekend going against the New York Giants, and I wanted to see what your prediction is and for the game score and who would be the MVP.
I'll say prediction 21-3. Close game.
Ooh, blowout.
And not a close game. It'll be a blowout. We won't score many points, but I think our defense will really step up this game. And I'm going to give the MVP John Allen.
Hey, my man, that's what I'm talking about.
I think he'll make a game-changing play, get us in some good field position, and be a big reason why we win this game.
My man, dude, I absolutely love that.
I like
Thank
that.
you so much for joining us again, Wizzy. I'm glad that we could link up again. Been trying to get you on here, get your thoughts on things, dude, because you love to be able to discuss stuff and you really get people riled up, man. You're my kind of guy.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love Twitter. Shout out to Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone complains about Twitter, but I love it, man. I love
It's
pissing
fun,
people.
Yeah,
man.
me too.
I love pissing people off. All right, dude. Wizzy, it's a pleasure to talk with you again, brother. I hope you stay safe and have a good weekend, all right?
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right,
Of
man, have a
course,
good
brother.
weekend, bro.
Until next time.
All right.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man himself, Mr. Wizzy F, baby. But we are joined by
sir.
our last guest of the night. And this is fellow podcaster that everyone knows and loves. And the Mr. Douglas himself, the Big Douglas Show. He is not in here yet, but he will be here very, very soon. It seems I had him sitting in the waiting. That's why. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Hall, that we had been asked in our group chat was from Tony Franchise. And actually, no. I wanted your reaction to Joe Judge. Did you see that he walked back his comments yesterday in his presser?
Yeah.
How he was saying, I wasn't talking about them, blah, 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 blah.
Well, obviously, clearly he was not even most likely. Clearly he was talking about us because, again, what other team has shown on a national stage or just anywhere in the highlights of two guys hitting each other, fighting on the sidelines? Like, so obviously he's talking about us.
Yeah.
The whole clown show of an organization, obviously people outside of people in DC as well, but people look at us as a clown show organization because all the ridiculous stuff that goes on the field and off the field. But at the end of the day, I just hope we go up to New York and just pound that man's team into the turf of MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, we're gonna get the predictions
Oh, I
in
know.
here
Trust me. I'm
at the
just
end of
giving
the
you a little
show.
preview.
Trust me, I got a couple lines ready for you to rip off. But before we go any further, we are joined by the man himself, Mr. Big Doug of the Big Douglas Show. How are you doing, sir?
Gentlemen, doing well. Thanks for having me on today. Mike, Kyle, always a pleasure.
Of course, and you know
Hey,
that you
pleasure is
weren't
ours.
you weren't going to come in here without talking about quarterbacks. And I wanted to ask the one fan question that we have from Orange Crush 92. Thank you so much, OC. You're the man. He says there's been a lot of talk about quarterbacks this week. So once and for all, Baker Mayfield ... good, bad, or ugly? Meaning somewhere in between, not actually ugly, unless of course you think he's literally ugly. LOL. So what do you think about that, Doug?
Well, I don't know if he's ugly or not. That's not for me to say. But
He
I
looks
will
like
say,
Randy Marsh.
Yeah, you know,
Well,
picture us
that-
in
I don't know
group
that
chat.
that's a good I mean, I don't personally, want him on the squad. I don't. Are we having this conversation if Baker Mayfield didn't go 1 overall?
I don't think so, because that's a great
Right.
point by you, because like that kind of gives him validation, right, and giving him the hope of being somebody, right? I understand your point by that.
He's a better actor than he is quarterback at this point.
I don't even think
I
his
like
commercials are that
those
good, Doug.
commercials. I like those.
I don't
They're
even
better
like
than
them.
Gronk's, so they're saying a little something.
Yeah, Gronk's.
How,
Gronk's a
how
little too much.
incredible is it that in the year of our Lord 2022 that Tom Brady is more likable than Gronk? Those Gronk spots for USAA are loathsome. I mean, they're horrible.
so cringy. It's just like,
Yeah, it's really bad. I understand what they're trying to do with it and everything, but it's like I love Gronk, and it's like he's good in one aspect. When you try to get him to act a certain way, it's not convincing whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to your
Chicks and beers is all Gronk should be doing.
right.
Right.
But with Baker Mayfield, OC, I think ugly. And the reason why I say that is, like, you haven't seen the consistency. And especially with Stefanski, I know they did well last season, but they also were, I think, the number one rushing team in the NFL last season. So it makes the quarterback's job very easy to do. When you're hitting play action, easy to do. We've seen that with Taylor Heinicke time and time again. So with Baker, I'm not sure if we're going to have that consistent running game that he's going to need in order to be successful. So no, I don't want to. I said on Twitter the other day, which if you had to make me choose between Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr, my head would explode. And obviously Derek Carr is probably the better quarterback at this point, but I just don't like either one of those quarterbacks. I'm not letting Kevin get the screenshot. I know he'll save it. I'm not letting him get that. He might be. I'm not sure yet. But what do you think, Doug? Good, bad, or ugly?
I mean, I don't think that you appreciably upgrade with Baker Mayfield. I do think they'll try to go veteran route. I've been
Me
on that
too.
for a while. I'm steadfast on that. I think somebody had posted, I forget now, I should know, but one of these Derek Carr trades things, it'll take a couple firsts and people are going to be upset about that, but he was a top 10 passer this year. I mean, you put put a guy like Derek Carr on this team. I know we're kind of switching gears because we're talking Baker Mayfield, who I think is I don't think that moves the needle for you. But a guy like Derek Carr does.
Yes, he does. And look, is he good? Yes. I will give respect to Derek Carr because he was without Waller this season, and so that is huge for somebody then losing Ruggs as well with that horrific accident and everything. So I thought that he did a good job, and especially the Raiders as a team, I thought deserve a lot of credit for what they have done this season, especially going in and beating the Steelers. I love them for that. And then losing to us, I mean, I love them even more for doing that. I mean, that's awesome of them. I'd hate to hand them that L in the brand new hockey puck that they just built out in the desert. But look, man, I loved it. And I know our fans loved being there too. They loved that stadium. What about you, Hall? Baker Mayfield, good, bad, or ugly?
I was listening to 106 earlier, and I think they had like PFT commenter on there, and obviously he's friends with Baker, so he's gonna hype him up regardless. But he actually did make a pretty good point where
he's also a Blake Bortles mark, which is hilarious.
I know, it's really weird. He likes mediocre to subpar quarterbacks for some reason, but he did make a good point on Baker where chip on the shoulder Baker Mayfield is a great Baker Mayfield to have on your team. The problem is, how long is that chip going to be on his shoulder for? Because as you've seen, and like you just said, the consistency has not been there. He comes out his rookie year, and everyone thinks like, okay, the Browns have really found a guy. Like, it might be on to something. Then obviously he comes out as a sophomore slump, and people are like, okay, well, it's the same old Browns. And then he comes in the third year. They go, 10, 11 wins, whatever it was last year. They make the playoffs, get a playoff, and when everyone's like, oh, Baker, he's the guy, he's the savior. And here we are in year 4, and everyone's like, yeah, we're probably going to move on from Baker. So does Baker move the needle for Washington? No, he's pretty much a lateral move if you're going to go from Baker to Taylor Heinicke. Obviously, I probably would have 1 year of Baker over 1 year of Heinicke because, again, chip on the shoulder Baker is a good Baker to have. But I just think that chip eventually chips away off your shoulder and it becomes about actual talent. I just don't think that he has the actual talent to keep carrying that chip on his shoulder. So, with that being said, I'd probably go somewhere between bad and ugly.
Yeah, he hasn't really, honestly, shown me anything to say that he is the guy, that he can make all those throws. I just think there's a lot of question marks still with Baker, and there's no reason to be able to pull a trigger on that just to have another question mark. But the next question that we have is from Andy Burrows in the UK. Oi!
Oi.
And his question is, I'm going to go to you, Big Dog. You were in charge of our salary cap. How are you spending it?
Listen, I think I do
before
more.
you go, they had a projected $59.8 million in cap space for the offseason. I think that was before the Charles Leno contract, which I think was the third most in the NFL for the offseason. Sorry, Doug.
No, you're fine. And you brought him up, right? I think it's going to be more the same. That's how I'm spending my cap space. Doing guys like Leno, they'll get McKissick next. McKissick's big for me. Like I really.
Me too.
That's a big time signing they got to take care of. McCain, I know people shrug and say, oh, McCain, but when they finally moved Landon Collins back down into the box and it was McCain and Curl back there, you kind of saw what they had envisioned was going to happen back there.
Yep.
I don't mind re-signing him. Cam Sims is up for a contract. I'd like to re-sign Cam Sims. I don't think he takes a huge chunk. And then there'll be guys like, I don't know, Calvin Ridley will be available, right? If you're getting ready to move picks for players, which I think they will try to do this offseason, if Russell Wilson would come here, they will pony up the 3 picks it takes. If Deshaun Watson clears his legal battles and says, come on, let's do it, Coach Ron, they're going to pony up 3 picks for that. So if that happened, then you'd have to set some money aside to do that because we haven't paid. When's the last time we paid a quarterback big money?
We paid RG3 big money the year that he was leaving. I remember that was like a bonus for him. I remember we signed off on that to make sure he got paid when he was just sitting on the bench. You remember that? That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
So, I mean, that's how they do it. But I'd like to sign a lot of in-house guys. McLaurin's going to need a lot of money tossed his way, right? And I'm trying to send him a chunk. So I do a lot of that. I don't see like a guy like Calvin Ridley, people will start talking about if he wants out. I don't know that I'd send my money that way. But I think they're going to need to set a chunk aside for the quarterback.
I agree. And one aspect, Andy, that I would love to see them go after is Mike Williams, the wide receiver from LA and the Chargers. I think that dude, when we saw him live, Hall, you and I talked about it, I said to you, I was like, dude, this is a superstar in the making right here. I mean, this guy is legit. He's a deep threat. He is legit in the one area of this team that they need help in is scoring touchdowns. We saw against Philly what happens when you kick field goals. You're not transitioning that into touchdowns, you're going to lose out on these big money points. And a guy like Mike Williams can really stretch the field for you. And I think that he could do what D-Jax did for this offense in opening things up for Pierre Garçon, i.e. Terry McLaurin. And so it would not surprise me, and it pains me to say it, because I've said for like the past year, pay Terry McLaurin, pay Terry McLaurin. I could see them using this opportunity to pay a free agent wide receiver to come in here, because if you're now doing that, you have your Terry as 1, you have Mike Williams as your 2, and you're saying that that Diami Brown and Curtis Samuel are your 3 and 4. I think that is a very, very good wide receiver unit heading into the season, and given that Diami Brown has done very well in the past couple weeks, I think that is a very good recipe for success. So Mike Williams, without a doubt, for one, is for me, and I would like to see them try to do something at corner. I do think that was one area where they started losing some depth, and you really started to see them get bit up a little bit, so corner would be another aspect of it for me. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same lines as y'all, where McKissick's going to be a big one for me. Definitely got to get him tied up for the next foreseeable future. He's a big part of this offense. Obviously, you saw when he went out, this offense just went down under the depths of disgustingness, pretty much.
The depths of disgustingness. I like that.
It's sounds horrible.
Harsh, but I've been a big ever since a couple of weeks back, pretty much. I've been a big proponent of. I wanted Michael Gallup till he got injured, honestly, but I wouldn't mind a guy like Mike Williams. You see what what's his name? Lombardi from the Saints came over to the Chargers to be the offensive coordinator. He kind of put Mike Williams in that Michael Thomas role, and Mike Williams exploded this year. So I definitely think he would be a huge piece.
What will he cost? Not to cut you off, Mike, but have you seen the projections there on what a guy like that's going to cost?
But I'm gonna probably assume it's probably going to be up there as far as money because of the year that he had.
So I know that PFF ranked him as a 10th overall.
What are they paying Samuels? Because he'll get more than the Samuels deal, right? What are they paying Samuels?
I think I think it was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
When it came and shaped down to it. And that's why I kind of looking at this with Terry, because them sitting at 59.8 even before the Leno contract, that's getting brought down already to what, 47 at that point, or no, 44. And so now, every contract, that's taking away those slots of being able to bring guys in. And that's where I kind of get trepidatious with Mike Williams, because he does have some injuries in his past and drop issues. And so at that point, you can say, hey, dude, let's take some of this money off, but you have to be able to get him here. And I'm sure there's other teams looking for his services, but we remember last offseason, the wide receiver market, that there wasn't much there, obviously, because like everything drawed out. Remember that, how they weren't getting as much money as everyone thought. It really surprised a lot of people, and maybe that could be the same case for this offseason as well, with how many wide receivers are coming out in the draft.
I will say, if they're going to go the rookie quarterback route and draft a guy, Pickett, Matt Corral, whoever it may be, hopefully it's one of them two if they do go quarterback route, because those are the only really two guys I'm at the moment locked in on. But if they're going to go that route, then obviously you're going to have to try to get the weapons surrounded him to kind of make him progress a little bit faster than usual. And that's where my whole pay a wide receiver free agent to come in. Obviously, Terry needs help. We don't know what Curtis Samuel's going to be because we didn't see him this year. But I do think that with Terry on the outside, you get another dominant number 2 wide receiver to go with Terry, and you put Curtis Samuel in the slot with Logan Thomas coming back. You got AG still. Hopefully to get McKissick done. I think that's with a legit top half of the league quarterback. I definitely think that you finally see Scott Turner's offense in full and what he can really do and how he can play call. And I definitely think that it opens up the vertical downfield passing game as well with a legit number 2 wide receiver.
I would agree. Now, let's go to a fan question because you guys brought up quarterback. And so I think this is a great question. This is from our guy, Tony Franchise. It says, this offseason is important to get RQB. I have come up with a list of quarterbacks from who I want from most to least. 1 being Aaron Rodgers, 2 being Russell Wilson, 3 being Deshaun Watson, 4 being Derek Carr. Good job, Tony. You're the man. 5 being Jimmy G, and 6 being the draft. So, Big Doug, what would be your order from 1 to, do you want to do 1 through 6?
That's fine. Yeah, I actually like that list. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going anywhere. You know, I mean, can you imagine if they win another NFC title this year and go to the Super Bowl? That'd be 2 years in a row, 2 MVPs. They're going to let him walk on out of there, but I don't see it.
I saw some rumor that said that if they do make the Super Bowl, that Aaron Rodgers would boycott based on the COVID protocols, but that blew my mind. That was just a rumor, though.
He's not boycotting the Super Bowl.
I know. Right. I thought I was like, that's a weird thing to rumor, dude.
It is, but Boomer said that, and Boomer's sold that the team is the Washington Admirals. So I'm not exactly sure who's giving him his information. Russell Wilson, I mean, that'd be great. I mean, sign me up for that all day long, and I'll pay whatever it takes. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. I think what's missing from that list, I don't know that Garoppolo doesn't move the needle for me, even though he's usually very good, right? Like, I mean, he's 2 plays away from a Super Bowl championship, but I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. I think on that list is missing Matt Ryan, who I still think has an opportunity to be on this team.
I know you brought him up before.
I do. I mean, I think he fits the mold of what they want to do. A guy that can still get the ball down the field, who can immediately come in. And to your point, I mean, that's what this offense needs, right? I mean, that's why they went after Stafford inside Fitzpatrick on the very first day of free agency. They want a guy that's all that top half of the league quarterback, right? Yeah. Because the weapons really are lacking. Look at the offensive line right now. They're not. I mean, the offensive line is set, and even depending on if they bring Sheriff or not back, I mean, to me, Schweitzer is not like some huge letdown. So, like, Leno's there. They're going to bring back the right tackle. So, I mean, that's kind of set. The weapons are there. They really have kind of built this thing the way Ron said he wanted to do, which is build a roster, drop in a quarterback. And he don't have to have. And as far as last on the list there being rookie, Ron is not in build with a rookie mode.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
agreed.
How many years does he have left of 7-8 win seasons? That's not what he's here for. So I don't think he has time.
No, and I certainly don't think so either, Doug, because I've said I hope that they double dip in the fact that, go get your quarterback in the offseason. But if you're using one of those draft picks on a quarterback just to groom, I think that's really cool, unless they're looking at Taylor Heineke in that aspect of being the grooming quarterback, because Ron Rivera loves to say that this is still a rookie quarterback in his eyes with Taylor Heineke. And so that kind of tells you how they feel about him. And so I will say the only thing wrong with your list, Tony, is that you should flip Derek Carr with the draft quarterback. That's the only thing I'll say. That's
Just a
all I'll
hater.
say. That's all I'll say, dude. That's all I'll say. No, but I think your list is spot on. Absolutely, because I think Aaron Rodgers is number one. I call him John Wick for a reason. The dude is just an absolute warrior on the football field. Obviously, I don't care about his political stances and vaccine stances and all that stuff, but the dude is just, I've never seen anybody throw the football like Aaron Rodgers. And so that obviously is the number one. And then two being Russell Wilson, just being an awesome person. I think that obviously is one. Did you have anything to change to his list, Hall?
Yeah, mine pretty much is like pending on like Watson's situation, but if he's somehow cleared to play or suspended for X amount of games next year, but you can still have him for 6 to 10 years going forward off of that, he would be my number two guy, flipped with Russell Wilson, and I put Russell Wilson at number three.
Could you imagine if they were to
I'm
get Deshaun Watson and with this whole rebrand, looking into, I mean, my goodness, man. I mean, you're telling
of all,
people
Twitter-
wouldn't show up?
First of
Come
all,
on.
talking about the Great War on February 22nd, Twitter would explode because there'd be, I love Deshaun Watson, we're going to the Super Bowl. And there'd be obviously the other side of, oh, Deshaun Watson, look what he did, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's down the road. But yeah, like I said, I would flip Wilson and Watson, and depending on Watson's legal stuff. And I would probably flip Garoppolo with the draft pick because obviously Garoppolo is a winner. Yes, he has a high winning percentage, but I feel like he's definitely a product of Kyle Shanahan and that running game. And we don't have Kyle Shanahan. And we have a running game, but we don't got that running game. But so I definitely would flip that. And like you guys said, I've been on the whole wave since 2 years ago when Ron came in that he wants a veteran guy. He doesn't want to build around a rookie because Dan Snyder's been known to be like snip, snip, snip. And
Yep.
maybe at the 3.5 year mark. So if you're not winning next year, halfway through the season, it might get a little rocky. So I definitely think that he's going that veteran route, and it's going to be Derek Carr. So let's just everybody get ready.
Yeah, and I think Orange Crush made a great point on Twitter the other day, talking about how looking at the quarterbacks from last year's class, Trey Lance and Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, they all were terrible. Basically, all those teams are essentially into the top 10, except for the Patriots, where Mac Jones was the last one taken, essentially, before Kellen Mond was and everything like that. But it kind of shows you that when you take a rookie quarterback, you are throwing away the next season. I think Orange Crush was absolutely on point with that because it should be kind of a grooming aspect, and that's why I would rather go down the veteran path, because we've talked about this isn't a rebuild, this is a renovation, and they don't have the pieces in place for this to be a prolonged, from now, a 3-year kind of thing of building. So they need it now, and I do think the veteran route is the best way to do it.
Before we get off of this, what would you think of this? So what if they brought back Taylor to be the starter for X amount of games next year while they draft a guy to be grooming in the wings, and then they throw him in?
You know how Washington
week
is with
10,
backup
week
quarterbacks,
12.
man.
Oh, I know. That's
their
why I'm
heads
asking
would
y'all.
explode by week 3.
That's why I want to get y'all's opinion on that, because a lot of people said they're done with Taylor. They don't want to see any more Taylor. But if you're going to go the rookie route, you kind of got to keep Taylor around to kind of be that guy next year, unless you're going to start the rookie from day one, which I wouldn't be opposed to either.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. But to wrap this up, guys, we got to talk about the game this weekend. I know it's not on everyone's minds because of the rebrand and everything that's going on, but Tony Franchise has a question for us. What are you looking forward to the most about this upcoming game against the Giants? And we can use this to kind of preview the game, to talk about our score predictions and possible MVP. So what do you think, Big Doug?
Well, this is always generally it's the time to see all the young guys, and
Yeah.
I think they'll still do that. This would usually be a game where I would say, who cares? But the Joe Judge comments, I would assume, would fire this team up, right? I mean, a game that didn't mean anything. It feels like that was a backwards motivation for him. I want to go out and smash these fools by like 100, you know? I think it's surprising that they're going to go Taylor Heineke another game. It feels like they know what they've got there. They spent a 5th-round pick on Kyle Allen. You'd think they'd like to see, how he's looking in live game action, because it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more of Jamin Davis. I'd like to see more of Jarrett Patterson. So, yeah, I mean, it's the last game of the season. You'd like to see that they're still out there working hard, because, again, it's our passion. It's their job. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see them out there working their tails off, and I think they will be. You've seen it all season long, even when things weren't going right. I mean, the one thing you say about this team is that they've gone out there and grinded.
Yeah, they have. And one aspect of is Jamin Davis that I'm really looking forward to with this game, because he talked to the media yesterday and he had a great quote, and they asked him how you could contribute to the team in what you do, and he was like, dude, I don't care if you're asking me to run, to pass, to catch, tackle, whatever you need, I'll do it. And that's the kind of attitude that we need from Jamin, and I'm really hoping that he comes through this weekend and gives us a glimpse of what he can be in the future. But in regards to the game itself, I don't want them to score a single freaking point. I want to stuff it down their freaking throat. Every turnover you get, bring that football to Joe Judge's feet. I mean, not to his feet. Bring it to the ref standing right next to him. Drop it so he knows who did it. He pissed me off by saying that you never kick somebody when they're down. He is rather pointing the finger than looking at his own team and himself. It pissed me off. They shouldn't score one single point. If they score a point, it should be considered a failure by this defense. I mean, you should be looking for blood at that point. I mean, and every time you sack Jake Fromm, make sure you tell Jake Fromm, that's for Joe. Joe did that to you. Please do that. I don't want them to score one single point. I don't even want them to get a first down, but obviously that's not conceivable. But the fact being is that needs to be done. And when people don't respect you, obviously you have to earn their respect. Well, you had that opportunity this weekend, and make sure you follow through so they know that Joe Judge should not open his mouth anymore about the Washington football team. I think Washington wins 35-0.
Ooh, blowout. Well, first of all, I don't want them to beat him too bad, because I want to keep Joe Judge around to keep running that dumpster fire of a team into the ground. If we blow him out, he might get.
They haven't had a winning season in five seasons. They've had a losing season. That's crazy.
Yep,
dude.
exactly. I'm looking forward to hopefully Terry going over his 40-yard mark so we can get the 1,000-yard mark and get back-to-back seasons, like I mentioned earlier, since the first time since the early 90s. I know it's a long shot unless AG just goes buck wild on him in the first half, because they're probably going to get a lot of carries to Jared Patterson, but I'd like to see him get his over 100 and I think 6 yards, whatever it is, so he can break 1,000.
Oh, yeah, dude. I completely forgot about
like
that.
You said, yeah, like you guys, I want to see the young guys play. I would love to see De'Ami Brown get some more run, make a couple plays downfield, which is kind of what we brought him in for.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'd love to see Jamin Davis. Like I mentioned on Monday, I want to see them kind of use him in that Micah Parsons, like rush from the outside, blitz up the gaps, kind of like role where he's not really thinking too much. It's just attack type of thing. As far as that, I just want to see guys get in, get some run, finish the season strong, definitely blow out this clown show of an organization and a team and Joe Judge and those clowns, and everyone just come away healthy and get into the offseason ready to go for next year.
Yeah.
And this if we win, this gets us to the same win record from last year, right?
We'd be 6-10.
Yeah, 7 wins.
Or
7-10. I mean, the percentage would be a little bit off because it was 10 losses.
The extra game, 9, sure.
But yeah, still 7
so
wins.
That also, I think, would be nice, you know? I think we all, I know we talked about the record before the season started. I think more of us thought it was going to be closer to 9. But if you get to 7, at least you're not technically doesn't feel like you're going backwards, you know?
Yeah, I do wholeheartedly agree. I wanted to give some shout outs to some players for how they've played this season. Cam Curl, 96 tackles, 1 sack and 1 fumble recovery. He was absolutely incredible this season. I call him the plug for a reason. He comes in and plugs gaps. He has been a tackling machine. He's been everything that this Washington football team has been needing in that back end. Then next to him, Bobby Mccain. I know everyone was kind of wondering why they would be willing to re-sign Bobby McCain this early, being a part of the names like Terry McLaurin and J.D. McKissick. He's a leading interception leader with 2 interceptions. And when a free safety is doing his job, you don't hear his name called generally. And I know somebody brought up the fact that I see him chasing guys down on blown assignments. Maybe he is doing his job in saving the play because the free safety is the last line of defense and somebody else blew their assignment. So I hate going and saying the guy you see closest to the blown out receiver is the one that had the issue with it, because I don't wholeheartedly agree. Only coaches and players know that. But it makes sense with Bobby. And Bobby going up and hitting Dallas, what was his name, Schultz from Dallas. I mean, that kind of shows you who Bobby is. He's a hard hitter, smart guy, communicates a lot, and he was a leader in that back end. And I know that it was hard early on the season, but I think he does deserve to come back, and it would help this defense immensely, without a doubt. Guys, I wanted to thank you for joining us, especially you, Big Doug. I know it's very busy for you to come around here with everything going on last minute as well. I can't thank you enough, sir. That's why I wanted you on here, because you always bring the right mindset in here.
Just for you guys on a Friday night.
Don't go
My guy.
partying too hard there, Big Doug. You know what I'm saying?
I cannot make you that promise, Kyle.
I know you can't. All right, everybody. We will see you guys again on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Please be safe over the weekend. Everyone, if you need to, isolate and everything. Reed was going to be on here. He was in our Zoom meeting, but he sounds horrible. I mean, he doesn't have a voice right now. It was not a good idea to have him on here. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And we'll see you guys on Monday. Stay safe in Washington. Please destroy them. Please. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!